Hi, and welcome to Matt Holman Talks Mental Health, the podcast where I have the opportunity to sit down and chat with amazing humans about their journey with mental health. For this episode, I'm so happy to introduce Selina Clarke to the conversation. Welcome, Selina.
Thank you, Matt. It's great to be here.
Well, lovely to see you. Welcome. So I'll do a very brief introduction from me, and I'll let you do the proper introduction, Selina, about who you are, what you're doing, and then we'll get into that whole conversation about that journey. Selina and I know each other through the mental health world, through mental health first aid in particular. We're both instructors of the same program, and it's just great to sort of catch up and meet people in the same world doing similar things, but just to get to really know some of their motivations. And I think it's just fantastic to have this opportunity to sit down and understand a bit more about each other. I know we've had lots of conversations outside of this recording, but it's great for everybody to get to know Selina. So welcome, Selina. You're an amazing human already. I love your infectious laugh and style and everything else. So just please, tell us who you are, really.
Oh, what an intro, huh? My goodness. So yeah, I'm Selina. I'm a mental health first aid trainer. I'm a massage therapist. I'm a wellbeing consultant and mentor. I am a mother. I'm a sister. I'm a partner. I'm a daughter. I'm an aunt. And all the other hats that I guess we wear in between. But yeah, I'm really pumped to be here, and thank you for inviting me onto the podcast, Matt. It's a really lovely opportunity. I guess a bit more about what I do. So yeah, we've kind of connected through mental health first aid as instructors, and my journey into mental health kind of started with my own experience, really. I didn't realize it at the time, but I've got a daughter. She's 13 now. And shortly after having her, I experienced postnatal depression. But it wasn't until kind of years later that I realized kind of the impact that had on me and the people around me, and decided that actually it was something that was really intriguing, and I wanted to find out a bit more for myself, but also I guess to kind of just feed my interest in people. I love people. I love working with people. I love understanding people, so the more information I can get, the better. So, having this experience was just like, okay, I can't be the only person, this can't be, an exclusive to me. I know that it was something that was really, I guess, kind of foreign to me at the time, because my understanding of what postnatal depression was and what I was experiencing were very, very different. So I, in my mind, thought when I heard about postnatal depression that it was about, rejecting your baby and, not feeling connected, or, just not knowing what to do. And I didn't have any of that. My experience of postnatal depression was very kind of, I felt isolated, but not from my baby. Do you know what I mean? This little person was like the best thing ever. But there were other things in my life and my situation that I was feeling increasingly disconnected from. So yeah, that kind of fueled my interest in mental health. I then started working in the NHS. I've worked in community mental health teams. I've worked in hospitals. I've worked in the charitable sector. I've worked in mental health employment. I've worked in higher education. So it's taken me on, definitely on a journey. And now I'm here, I'm talking to you, Matt, and it's just a continual learning process, and it's been pretty cool. It's been really, really cool.
I love the way you can say it's been really cool after saying about having postnatal depression journey. But I genuinely mean that there is light still, isn't there? There's still light there, and you're in that place now.
100%. And I think, that's the thing. When when you're in a situation, right, it's hard to see that there is that you're in a process, that there is an ending, or maybe not like a finite ending, but actually that things may not always be as they are. It's really difficult to comprehend that, right? But one of the things that I've kind of learned to do, and I guess it's probably more in the last, oh my God, very recent years actually, is just to learn how to treat myself with compassion. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you learn how to treat yourself with compassion, you're able to be vulnerable, you're able to learn more about yourself. And in doing that, you're then opening up yourself to learn about other people and to be, open to their experiences and learning about how they see and kind of sit in their own world. And in doing that, you're then hopefully able to give them hope that, this process that they're in will get better. We're not in a fixed place. This kind of thing that we're in, it's not permanent.
No, you're right. Absolutely. I totally agree with what you're saying. It's a fascinating perspective. And what I love about this podcast and these stories is it is your perspective. It's the way you see it. It's the way you've lived it. It's your experiences. I do want to go back, if that's okay. I want to go back to that postnatal depression point where, because for listeners, it's useful to understand a little bit about the what was really happening for you and how you were feeling at those moments. And, you tell as much or as little as you want to around that. Can you define some of that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, there were many components. I was in a relationship that wasn't great. I was in a job that wasn't, fueling me, it wasn't inspiring me. My financial situation wasn't great. And then that coupled with, kind of experiencing that kind of extreme low mood and disconnect from yourself within a culture that doesn't really openly talk about those things, coming from a culture where you don't really talk about mental health. It's not the done thing to do. You just get on with things. We don't kind of air our laundry in public, so to speak. So it was a lonely time. I think that's one of the things that kind of really sticks out for me, is that it was a really kind of isolating time. But I also think that's what depression makes you feel. It makes you feel that you're on your own, right? It makes you feel that actually there's nobody that will understand what's going on for you or will want to reach out and help you. It took a long time. It took a long time to actually sit down and recognize that something wasn't sitting quite right with me, that I wasn't kind of functioning on the level that I would normally do. And I remember going to a when you take the babies to like the wellbeing checks at the health centre.
Yeah.
And I remember taking my daughter just to get weighed, have the usual chat with the health visitor. Nothing, untoward, nothing major had happened in the day. It was just an everyday. But I remember sitting in the waiting room and there were all these kids and their mums, and everyone was just sitting there having chats and conversations, and the kids were running around all snotty-nosed and what have you. And it felt like the whole room was just closing in on me. Like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't gather my thoughts. I couldn't think straight. I had my baby on my lap, but that was like the only thing I could kind of connect to. And then my name was called, and at that time, He literally just had this little bench at the front of the room with the scales on and a book, and you know, she wrote her bits in there. And got my daughter undressed on the table, and I remember putting her into the weighing machine, and all the health visitor said was, "How are you?" I don't know if that was the first time someone had asked me that, or if I just hadn't asked, if I hadn't heard it when someone had asked me, but she just said, "How are you?" And I collapsed. Like, I literally broke down. She had to catch me.
Right.
And then she you know, she had someone hold my baby, and then
Yeah.
she walked me out of the room. She walked me out of the room, and she was just like, "Just sit there, stay there. I'm going to sort out your little girl, and then I'm going to come back for you." And she did. And we had the longest chat, but it was a talk that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting these words and these feelings to come out to this complete stranger. And all she said was, "How are you?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And, you know, all of a sudden there was just this massive outpouring of, "I'm not all right. I'm not all right, but I don't know. I don't know what this is. I'm scared." And I'm scared to tell you, because I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know if by telling you this, you're going to do something with my baby. I don't know if by telling you this, I'm now deemed as unfit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But it was probably like the start of actually realizing that this isn't something to be scared of, because there are people who, when they say, "How are you?" they genuinely want to know.
Yeah.
And they want to kind of give you that hand up, you know, try and pull you out of that space. And, you know, she came round to my house the following day. And she was a Black nurse as well. And I think for me, that was a massive thing. I didn't realize it at the time, but the subsequent conversations that we had, you know, she kind of coached me in how to speak to my partner at the time, because she understood.
Yeah.
She understood the taboos and, you know, the misconceptions around mental well-being and mental health, you know. So there was lots of things that were unspoken in those transactions that followed.
Yep.
That we didn't need to speak about, because there was this kind of mutual experience, the shared experience, you know. But she was definitely the eye-opener, and I think one of the catalysts in moving me on,
Yeah.
helping me to engage in getting myself well, not just for, you know, for my daughter, but, you know, just for me, you know, and realizing actually, yeah, you need to do this, but you need to do it for yourself. You need to find the reasons that you want to do this for yourself. So yeah, she was definitely the start of things.
Oh, and amazing to hear somebody did that, you know, and that's what we're trying. That's actually, I was listening to you just thinking, that's what we keep telling people to do, isn't it? Ask people how they're feeling, really get to listen to the answers and let them have the space to be, I don't know, vulnerable or open or whatever it might need to be, because we're never going to be able to support people if they don't have that ability to say it in a safe space and safe. That's what we do, isn't it? That's what mental health first aid is all about. And I know this isn't about this training of that, but that's what we tell people to do all the time. And how wonderful that, you know, 13 years ago, or you know, 11, 12, 13 years ago, that was the case, that somebody did that already. And I'm so pleased that happened for you, and that you managed to get on that path back. And what I think is fascinating in there too, if I can just reflect, is that cultural element of, you know, it was somebody who understood some of those challenges that you would face as a, you know, as a Black mum growing, you know, with a child, learning more about mental health in her community, with her family around her. how long did it take you to get to a point where you could tell people about what was going on?
It was a while. It was
Yeah.
a while. I remember, I don't know like specific timings, but I remember there was one, it was Christmas. It was Christmas and I was due to go to my sister's house for
Okay.
Christmas dinner. And I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't, when you're in a kind of a depressed phase or a depressed state, like sometimes just speaking is hard.
Yeah.
Getting up and getting dressed and let alone trying to get yourself out the front door and what happens after that. So I'd had a few low days to build myself up. Okay, we're going to get dressed, we're going to do this is the time we're going to leave, I'm going to make sure that my daughter's fed and we're ready for the journey. And the time just kept getting closer and closer and closer, and the closer it got, the lower I got, the more anxious I got and the more paralyzed I felt. And I remember in the end, I gave her a call, and I was so kind of flippant in my call. I remember, this was so long ago, but I remember it so vividly. I was so flippant in my call, and I was just like, yeah, actually, I can't make it. Like, just because. And I know my sister was pissed. Sorry if I'm
Yeah, that's all right. No, don't worry. You're okay. You're good.
Yeah, she was not happy, like at all. Obviously, she's prepared all this food, she's money, she's expecting me, she's expecting her niece. It's family time. Family is really big for us. And I've just picked up the phone and I'm just like, nah, not down for it.
Yep.
Phone down. And no explanation, no nothing. And then I remember calling up, it might have been like a couple of days later, like, oh, hi, hey sis, how you doing? Again, just really flippant. And, she expressed how she was feeling about the whole thing. And that was when I was like, actually, I've got to tell you something. When I did that, there was a reason. There was something behind that, and I laid it out for her. And it was weird because it was probably the first time that I'd actually spoken out loud to a family member. And I don't remember the words that I used. It was probably all jumbled up, and I probably threw postnatal depression out there. I probably threw antidepressants and GP, somewhere in the mix.
Yeah.
But it was out there. Do you know what I mean? And after that, I kind of took a breath and was like, okay.
Yeah.
Over to you now, because I'm actually lost. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. Yeah.
But over the years, and my sisters, who will probably watch this at some point, they have become my backbone.
Mm-hmm.
They are they are the people that kind of come round and give me air when I feel like I can't breathe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They see when my mood might be dipping a bit, and they know how to kind of check in and touch base. And and we've learned to do that for each other over the years, which I think, I'm not saying that's all come from my experience, but I just think, just being able to have those conversations and be open and be vulnerable with each other has enabled like this really amazing relationship to form as a result. And I think, it's something that's definitely informed how I parent now. But yeah. I'm not sure if I answered your question. I feel like I've just gone off on a tangent there.
You know what? It doesn't matter. You've just outlined something that's so important in all of that, which is around support and having the ability to be open. So the question was about when you opened up to family and how long did it take? So you did answer the question, because that call that you had with your sister, you know, or that moment you had with that conversation with her, how did she react when you told her?
Do you know what? I can't remember.
Okay.
I know it wasn't bad.
No.
I know it wasn't bad. And I know that in my heart, like, I feel that it's something that she would have wanted to know sooner.
Right. Yep.
But I know that her reaction wasn't anywhere near what I thought, or I'd kind of built it up in my mind to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that anxiety was probably, you know, and this is something we deal with, we talk about with people, of course, around anxiety. And of course, you know, postnatal depression also comes with that anxiety element of, you know, the fear, the risks, the thoughts, and having that thought of, if I tell somebody, and you said it out front, actually, you know, your fear was when somebody found out, oh my gosh, they're going to take my child away, or they're going to think I'm not able to be a mother, and all of those thoughts. So it is hard, isn't it? It's the biggest hurdle potentially to, do you think it's the biggest hurdle to do it?
Huge. It's accepting for yourself that something, you know, isn't sitting quite right. And then there is understanding that you need help, that you can't do this on your own, but also that you shouldn't have to do it on your own. But that acceptance, I think, is a massive step. It's a massive step. Reaching out and, you know, talking and opening up is just, it's a constant. You know, even now, you know, there are times when it's life, right? You have good days, you have bad days, and knowing kind of where your boundaries are, you know, and setting yourself limits so that you don't push yourself into that space where, you know, you are becoming unwell is really important. But it's the stuff that you learn along the way. So yeah, that first step is huge, but the others, the smaller steps, the cumulative effect of those smaller steps is off the chart.
Brilliant. So it's about accepting, not denying it. It's about opening up and having that strength and that ability to say to somebody out loud, you know, I'm struggling. And that's what this is about behind me. For anybody listening on a podcast, it means nothing, of course, but the visual prompt says we need to talk about mental health, and we really do, because it's the only way we can really understand what's going on in each other's lives. We keep on sort of glossing everything over and just saying everything's fine, it's all great, I've got it covered. Like your call at, you know, at that point with your sister, where you were just saying, I'm not coming, you know, I don't need to sort of explain it, but we need to stop doing that. We need to peel it back a little bit further. So your journey obviously you know, we're journeying through this time as well. I just realized it's like, oh my gosh. But you know, so fast forward, you know, you're a mother to a beautiful girl. You've had life experiences of being a parent. How has that evolved for you? Any sort of insights you want to share there?
I mean, it's a roller coaster. They really need to work on that handbook for parenting, because I haven't found it yet. But it's been a roller coaster, and you know, I've had kind of battles and issues along the way. You know, supporting my daughter, who in herself had her own struggles, and you know, trying to be a parent to her and help her find her way, you know, and that in itself was quite difficult, because, you know, I'm out here and I'm supporting other people in their own mental health journey. I'm supporting other people's children in their mental health difficulties. And then I've got to come home and figure out how to do that for my own. And you'd think that you would know how to do that if it's like your everyday work, right? But actually, apparently it doesn't work like that. And I think that's been one of like the biggest kind of learning curves as a parent, you know, understanding that there are times when you can't answer all the questions, and you can't fix everything, and you can't be that everything to, you know, that individual as much as you want to, as much as you want to protect them, and, you know, be that constant for them. Actually, again, you need to be able to accept that and accept help and understand that actually this is going to support the two of you, or, you know, the family unit, in becoming stronger and becoming more resilient. But, you know, supporting her through her own journey has been mammoth. But what I've learned from her as a young person, there are adults that, you know, haven't taught me as much as my 13-year-old. It's been pretty phenomenal, for sure.
It's fascinating, and we could go into a whole conversation about our children and supporting them. And you're right, the handbook. And I always, when I do my introductions in training or in sessions, I always say I have 3 roles. One is my company, one is my volunteering, and the third most hardest one is being a parent, you know, because it's the one that you can't, you're right, there's no policies for being a parent or handbooks. It's like learn on the job. And when things start to go a bit pear-shaped, there's nothing in the page for that one, you know. The pear-shaped page doesn't exist, because it's all, and you have to try and scoop that up. And then you're trying to find learnings from your work, and then you go there and they go, don't bring that home, that's nothing to do with me. I love that thought of, you've been on a training course, haven't you? You know, it's like, oh, see through me. It's hard though, isn't it? It's so difficult. So you know, so you've got lots of things going on in your life, and I just love this sort of this thought that I don't love the thought you've been through an experience like postnatal depression, of course, but you've taken that and you've learned it and you've understood it and you've owned it and you lived with it, and I'm sure there are moments in your life where it is hard and things like that might start to creep, and you're right, it's that more positives than negatives filling it up. So thank you for sharing all of that, and we've got a couple more minutes, and I want to just throw it over to you to say any final things you want to say about what you're doing, what your plans, ambitions are, because I know you're not just about training mental health first aid. That's how we sort of know each other. You do a million other things. There's so many different hats that we all seem to wear, many different hats, don't we? So, but just to say thank you, Selina, just for being, as I always say to people on this, an amazing human. Just keep being an amazing human. And, you know, the handbook of being an amazing human is very short, because it's just got you written on it, and that's it. So keep doing that and being great. So over to you. Any final thoughts, comments you want to share?
I guess just in terms of some of the other things that I'm doing, obviously I am a mental health trainer, but I'm also a massage therapist and a well-being mentor and consultant. And in that, what I try to do is bring in kind of my mental health world and help people connect what's going on with them physically to what's happening to them emotionally, and just kind of supporting them through that journey, helping them to access educational resources or treatment options, whether that's through me or through some of the networks that I'm part of, or some of the people that I work with. But it's all about, my aim is about empowering people to connect with themselves and to understand the language that their body is speaking to them on a constant day-to-day basis. And, you know, how to kind of journey through that process in a compassionate way, so that, you know, you actually live rather than just kind of move through life mindlessly. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah. I totally embrace that, and it's about living rather than just being, isn't it? And it's you know, we want to enjoy life, and that's why we do. And we had a great laugh before we come onto this, and you know, and we'll have many more laughs, I'm sure, as we progress through our world and careers. Selina, thank you so much. I really do genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. I just loved having the chance to chat with you. It's just been amazing. For anybody that is listening, if anything we've talked about is something that you might be worried about, or you may have some more questions, I'm sure Selina would be very happy to receive any sort of questions that anybody might have. Sure, I
Yeah.
sort of threw that in there, hoping that you said yes. But this is about, the podcast to me is all about accessibility. I want people to feel that, you know what, you can reach out to us, which you really can. You can reach out to us and ask questions if you have any questions about the content or worries, concerns. And also remember, there are organisations out there today that can support you if you are feeling low, vulnerable, if you are worried about telling family about what's going on, or just talking about something for the first time. Know that those organisations exist. Places like Samaritans is a great resource just to do that. Safe space. I know I'm a vested interest in that as a Samaritan myself, but call 116123. You can just tell people your story, maybe for the first time. And that's it for the conversation. So thank you, Selina. It's lovely to see you. I will catch up with you very soon.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.